nestled around.
What's the rating of that
Sounds like a
sentence?
place where your fart
What's the parental guidance on that sentence?
I did not make that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's from the
Maybe
book.
you
That's
can't
from the
let
book.
it
It's not
out,
me.
it goes back into your belly.
I think I needed some time off.
So, you
That
know,
sounds like the little
but not
pocket
anatomy.
where your fart goes back in and you
Where
can't
you
let it
live.
out.
the fart, like the pocket
Where
your
your
fart
fart
gets stuck in.
Yeah, like when you can't let your fart out, you just hold it.
What pocket? What are you
That's what that sounds
talking
like.
about?
What? Some water.
Constipated.
I want to get that checked out.
Oh, okay.
Not me.
Not me.
All right, enough romance. Let's move on.
Your class
Just take a
does not
picture.
go
Oh, you take a picture? Go
Then I
ahead.
can just.
That's the intercession.
All right, guys. So one more diagram. If you want to take a picture of this, this is also not in your book. It's from another book, but this is kind of breaking out those four portions once again, guys. That first, second, third, and fourth portion of the duodenum: superior, descending, horizontal, ascending. Then, of course, the flexure, where the duodenum terminates, and the jejunum begins. Do know all those parts because we can see them on an X-ray if we're looking at that C loop in profile. If you didn't believe it was a C before, guys, I mean, you see the C now?
We
You see the C? You see the C?
See?
I got a question for you guys, though. Something we've talked about is present on that diagram, but not labeled. That little bulb right there. You about to say the same thing? Do y'all know what that is? We talked about that the other day.
What's that?
Kidney stone.
Kidney stone?
I don't know.
Kidney
No,
stone.
no.
Boo-boo.
That's the.
If you got kidney stone in there, we got some major issues.
That is,
Kidney stone in the duodenum?
no, that's the pancreatic.
No, but you're closer.
Oh, the bile.
Oh.
The
That's
It
the
is
PD.
where bile travels.
the
PD.
the pancreatic duct.
Flexure?
Sphincter.
Sphincter. You have a book in front of you.
It's not CBD.
No, we ain't got that book today.
It's this area right here, guys, on my pretty picture for reference.
It's a
Y'all remember that?
Connector.
Median.
Some type of duct.
It's the jejunum
It's a pyloric.
This is painful.
This one got it out of, so I don't know. I don't have no
Pancreatic
brain.
portions.
I hear every single piece of anatomy except for what I'm
I
looking for.
forgot.
It connects to
Um,
like that.
Sis.
They know all the other anatomy.
It's pancreatic something.
It's not pancreatic anyway.
Is it a cystic duct? No.
Duodenum?
No, that's over there. That's over there.
Hepatopancreatic.
No, that's all the way in the bottom.
Is it a distal common bile duct?
Oh Lord, you
No,
tell
cystic duct is up
Not
there.
the papilla vector?
What? The
She
what?
said something. She said something.
No.
Pancreatic duct?
That's what I said.
Not the papilla evader, the what?
The sphincter? Is it sphincter?
The ampulla?
The flap. The flap.
Ampulla evader.
Oh, ampulla.
Ampulla evader, yes.
Evader.
Oh.
I
Oh
said
my
that.
gosh.
She did.
I didn't hear you say it, I'm sorry.
Major papilla.
There you go.
Hepatic.
Major duodenal papilla.
Whew. Y'all were giving me a heart attack there. My goodness.
Because I see that here.
You said hepatic.
Man.
Wow.
Char, I said everything on these charts that I said.
That's gonna be the only thing we remember on the test.
ampulla is right
Ampulla evader.
I want the ampulla evader right here. Yes.
Yeah, but
All right, guys, let's review before we move on to the next section.
Ampulla evader.
prone.
We need to review, obviously. Let's go over these letters on this beautiful upper GI image,
Is
guys.
it prone?
Okay.
What is letter A? You should know what that is.
We're not gonna answer the
What is
question.
letter A, guys? Esophagus. What is letter B specifically? It's narrowed. That's your
The
clue.
the cardiac sphincter?
Cardiac
Sphinx.
sphincter. Cardiac sphincter for letter B. What about letter C?
The lesser curvature.
Lesser curvature. Letter D.
The notch.
The
The cardiac notch.
Not the cardiac notch.
the angular
angular notch.
angular notch.
Angular notch. Be careful because cardiac notch is up here, guys.
Oh, that notch.
Angular notch. What about D?
E?
I mean, I'm
You
sorry,
said E?
Oh, E.
E.
Is that the pyloric portion?
Pyloric or pylorus, correct. Letter F, where it narrows. What is that? That's your clue. It's narrowed down.
The pyloric sphincter.
Pyloric sphincter. Letter G. Duodenal bulb.
bulb.
Letter H specifically.
The superior portion.
What did you
No.
say?
Superior portion? No, that's
Not
the
superior.
duodenal bulb.
bulb's the same as
Descending
superior portion. It's a descending portion of the
portion.
second portion of the duodenum. Very good. I,
Body.
the body. J,
The greater curvature.
greater curvature. K is talking about the interior folds. What is that called?
The root.
The rugae, or the mucosal folds. And L.
The fundus?
Thank you, Charo, for being the only one to answer. The fundus. Yes, everyone else is just done. The fundus.
I hadn't looked at it yet.
Now, next question. Based on the location of that barium, what position is the patient
Prone.
Wrong.
Upright.
in? How do you know that's a prone?
Because the barium is below the fundus. It's in the body.
Barium is gathering in the body and pyloric portions, and air is in the fundus.
Fundus.
Correct, correct. Also, if you look at the vertebrae, they're nice and square. We can tell the patient is not oblique. Another clue there. Very good.
So if the patient was upright, then it would have less in the.
If the patient was upright, you're going to see a horizontal line right here, showing that the barium's falling with gravity. Good. Oh, well.
Oh.
through all that.
Okay.
Okay, guys, small intestine. What is the function of the small intestine? Very simple, guys. Via those villi, we're going to continue digestion and absorption of the food through all three of those sections. We already know that, but let's break it down further.
Wait, can you go back?
Man, y'all keep disrupting my rhythm today. I'm telling you. Hmm? See that? I got quite the audience today. No pressure, right? I had Dr. Black earlier. Now I got all three of you guys. Okay, remember those terms we talked about? What's the term for chewing?
Mastication.
That fun word to throw around the Thanksgiving table on the holidays as you masticate your turkey. And then you deglutate it with a swig of iced tea, yeah? Mastication for chewing, deglutition for swallowing. That all takes place in the oral cavity.
I'm gonna say what?
When did you exit?
Yeah, I don't know. When did you exit?
I didn't even notice you walk out.
Dang.
For the pharyngeal area and the esophagus, we still have what occurring? Deglutition, which is swallowing. Now it's moving down that tube via what process?
Peristalsis.
Peristalsis, which is defined as, it's right there,
Muscular contraction.
waves of muscular contraction. It then enters the stomach via that cardiac sphincter. Now, timings here, guys. It takes about 1 to 8 seconds for that contents to get to your stomach. 1 to 8 seconds, depending on how thick the food is, whether it's liquid, solid, whatever. Your stomach, the digestion takes place in about 2 to 6 hours. 2 to 6 hours. Unless you're drinking lactose like me, and that's the process is sped way up.
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Yes. Now, what occurs in the stomach? A combination of mixing and continued peristalsis. That's when the chyme is created via a digestive enzyme. Don't worry, you don't need to know the enzyme. Y'all need to know the enzyme, JT, or
You do.
y'all do? They don't make us know that, thankfully.
The humorous. Just
Mhm.
sodium bicarbonate. Isn't that baking soda?
And then, once again, this is all mechanical digestion taking place. That last portion of mechanical digestion takes place in the small intestine. That's going to be 3 to 5 hours. And that is done via rhythmic segmentation, also known as churning, and continued peristalsis. Really great chart here, guys. Has your timings on there. Do know the timings. Know that this is all mechanical digestion, and this is how each of those mechanical processes are taking place. No one used the word mastication on their family yet? I love throwing that around the holiday table just to see people's reactions. It's just me, I guess I'm just got a weird sense of humor.
I taught like the meaning, so I can't say
Just
this.
say something like-
What'd you just say? Did you just say what I think you said?
It's like, will you stop bothering me and let me masticate my food?
See?
I
You're just using scientific terminology, nothing wrong with that.
mean, like, now I don't know what you want to do that food, but I suggest you not do it for the baby.
There are children.
Alright, I know I've asked you a couple times, I'm so sorry, but just to confirm, and so we have it down. Prone, bariums, and the fungus.
Well, we're going way back here, but prone bariums in the body, supine bariums in the fungus.
Your auntie just weird, man.
Huh?
I don't know what's going on.
Y'all are in rare form this afternoon. Goodness.
Hey, get him to go over there, maybe transfer his brain power to her. I don't know. I don't know anymore.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore.
Yeah.
Some dumb kinds.
Okay, so substances ingested, digested, absorbed. Carbohydrates, that's going to count as our simple sugars. If you're like me, your carbs end up being high when you go to the doctor and get your blood done, and the doctor fusses at you, like they keep doing to me. That's going to be your simple sugars in the mouth and stomach. Proteins, amino acids in the stomach and small bowel. Lipids are going to be our fats. That's fatty acids and glycerol. Those are absorbed in the small bowel only. Now, substances that are absorbed but not digested, that's going to be our vitamins, our minerals, and water. It just passes through and passes out. Vitamins, minerals, and water.
So then, is the kidney and the how did the vitamins get to the kidney and liver?
Through the blood.
And where do they get picked up by the blood?
There's blood vessels that go through the kidneys and then filter it out. We're going to learn about that in the next chapter. Don't worry, that's coming. We're jumping ahead. There's some arteries and veins that transfer that to the kidneys and filters it through the ureters and the bladder. Okay, enzymes, that's our digestive juices. Those are biologic catalysts. Bile from the gallbladder is going to be what actually emulsifies the fats. Don't worry, you don't need to know the actual chemical names, thank goodness. But do know this chart as well. Another great reference chart here, if you want to take a picture of that. That's a summary of our chemical digestive processes through these organs we just talked about. All right, we good to move on? All right, so 3 primary functions of the entirety of the digestive system. We begin with number 1, the ingestion and or digestion. That's taking place in our oral cavity, pharynx, and esophagus primarily. Great questions you can come from this chart, by the way. A lot of great questions. Number 2, absorption, which takes place in the stomach and small intestine. And then elimination, which is we eliminate the waste products. That also semi-occurs in the small intestine and the large intestine primarily. Large intestine being basically where the last bit of those fluids are absorbed from the waste product before it's eliminated from the body when we go to the restroom. So ingestion, absorption, elimination.
So the small intestine absorbs and eliminates,
Correct.
then continues to the
Overlap.
large intestine.
Now, last organ to talk about for this chapter, guys, before we start getting some positioning. The large intestine. That's going to begin at the junction of the small intestine, ileocecal valve specifically, and end at the anus. It's going to form an actual arch around the loops of the small intestine, as you see right here. And we got those 4 main parts being the cecum, the colon, the rectum, and the anal canal. 4 main parts of the large intestine. Now this should be a review, guys. We talked about this way back in Rad Pro 1. Y'all remember? Following the path of the large intestine. Here is the last part of the ileum. The contents dump through that ileocecal valve, gathers in the cecum. We move up the ascending colon to the right colic flexure. We move across the transverse colon to the left colic flexure. By the way, these have two other names. Y'all remember? Right colic goes by what other name?
Hepatic.
Hepatic flexure, because the liver's above it. Left colic,
Splenic.
splenic. Then we're going to go down the descending colon. We're going to make an S curve at the sigmoid, S for sigmoid. Then we're going to go down into the rectum, and that's where the contents, the waste product gathers before you go to the restroom. And it's eliminated through the anal canal out the, out the anus. Out the anus. Now, two more parts we can talk about in Rad Pro 1. There are some structures on the large intestine, namely these little bulbous shapes, these little curves. Those are called the haustra. And then there's a fibrous connective tissue going through the majority of the large intestine. You'll see that? The little white line? It's called the tinea coli. Tinea coli is just a connective tissue. Tinea coli. It's that white portion right here. I'm tracing with my finger. And then last but not least, the vermiform appendix hanging off the bottom of the cecum. Used to be thought of as a useless organ, but it actually has a function in our immune system, they discovered. A lot of people have that removed because it gets infected and clogged up. You can lose your appendix and still function just fine. Good over there.
Oh, that's right.
Goodness. I'm gonna beat somebody with a chair.
Fight Club.
All right, there we go, guys. Just going to break down some of these parts a little more specifically. Large intestine, actually kind of funny, it's called the large intestine. It's actually shorter than the small intestine. Large intestine is only 5 feet long. Haustra, that's that series of pouches we just talked about along the large intestine. Tinea coli, those muscular bands that help form the haustra. Cecum being the first portion of the large intestine is pouch-like below the junction of the ileum and the colon, where that waste product first gathers before it starts traveling through the large intestine. Ileocecal valve, just below the junction of the ascending colon and the cecum. That's where the contents of the small intestine enters into the cecum, that being the first portion of the large intestine. So really the only two new ones there, guys, would be the haustra and the tinea coli. At least we're ending organ-wise on something that should sound familiar to you guys. This is all review at this point. Because it should be. We haven't forgotten all that Rad Pro 1 info. I got a little too quiet when I said that. Just say, yes, Mr. Donahue, we remember every part of it. You don't have to worry about us.
Probably should.
I still didn't get a reaction out of that. Ooh, we're in trouble. Man. They're just done today, Miss Smith. They're just done.
My mind already made up. I'm paying the late fee.
All right, guys. There's that vermiform appendix once again. Just a little bit of a definition attached to it. Attached to the posterior-medial side of the cecum, speculated to aid with immunity. 4 main portions of the colon that we just talked about: ascending, transverse, descending, and sigmoid. Ascending, transverse, descending, sigmoid. Whenever you get to be close to 40, you should go in and have your large intestine checked for polyps, because everyone is susceptible to those, some more than others. I started getting them in my early 30s. So it runs in my family really bad.
Do you have symptoms with the polyps, or you just went because it's infected?
I don't really have symptoms per se, but I tend to grow them at an accelerated rate. So they like me to come in every 3 years to have them removed. Some people just grow them really fast. My family does. All right, just a few more pieces here, guys. Right colic flexure, also known as the hepatic flexure. So we have sharp angle at the ascending and transverse. Left colic, also called the splenic, is that angle at the transverse and the descending. And the sigmoid, S-shaped, once again S for sigmoid, ends at the rectum at the level of that third sacral segment. Then the rectum, extending from the sigmoid to the anal canal. Anal canal terminates at the anus. And by the way, not to be really gross, because I'm sure y'all just want to talk about, feces today, but did y'all know, fun fact, that we actually, well, it's not just in America, a lot of countries, we actually, as a culture, eliminate waste incorrectly?
Yummy.
Where
You know what
is
I'm
it
talking
supposed
about?
to come out of?
It comes out of the same area, but the fact that as a culture, we learn to sit on a toilet when actually squatting to eliminate waste is considered the more efficient way to eliminate waste and avoid constipation, because it puts this canal in a more straight line to eliminate it. When you sit, you compress it.
So you're supposed to be standing.
You're supposed to be squatting.
You're supposed to have your
Shout out to
feet on
squatting
the
club.
toilet seat.
Hmm?
I think that's how.
My grandma told me that.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
it's actually very true.
I was like, Grandma, I'm not.
But as a culture,
Flat out.
as a culture, we've learned to eliminate waste on a toilet, but that actually compresses the rectum when you sit like that.
I think that's how they used to do it in India.
What's up?
Squatting.
Squatting, really? Well, they're doing it the right way.
There's a student.
I do that when I'm drunk on side of the road.
I know. I think in Japan, that's a big, like they don't have toilets in Japan.
Yeah, they didn't have
That's what
toilets there
Moses was
before.
saying.
When they start licking
Not
on
the
the
modern
legs.
people.
See, you said you learned nothing in X-ray school. Now you know how to eliminate waste properly. You squat instead of sit. What I learned in X-ray
You know,
school?
I heard on the radio. That
What'd you hear on the
I
radio?
heard on the radio that everybody has like natural 3 hemorrhoids from sitting on the
Oh,
toilet.
I believe it, because, like, not to be gross again, but
Like,
because
the
you
longer
compress
you
the
sit
rectum when you
there,
sit,
yeah.
people strain really hard, and that's how hemorrhoids are formed from
Yeah.
overstraining.
If it doesn't come out, I get up.
What? I don't think I want to hear that. Never mind. Okay then. All right. What's the main function of the large intestine? Well, of course, reabsorption of the final fluids. You okay?
I go eat something.
Reabsorption of the fluids and elimination of the waste products, which is why fecal material is solid when you eliminate it, because you're eliminating the last bit of fluid from that waste product. Of course, when you have diarrhea, the colon is not functioning properly. That's why a lot of liquid comes out. There should not be liquid coming out. It should be solid waste.
It should, wait, what? It should not be liquid?
No, that's diarrhea.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I knew that.
If you've never had solid waste, please go get that checked out.
Now he's like, so this is why she's been running out.
Oh no, not
So you're saying
running
it
out.
absorbs the fluid.
It absorbs
so
the
that's
last
why.
bit of fluid back into the body, which is why waste should be solid
Solid,
when we eliminate it.
Monty, are you recording orders?
Yeah.
Monty, why didn't you get the tripod? It's over there.
It's okay. It's too late now.
Of course, when you have a baby, my baby people out there, their waste is not solid for a long time because their diet is milk
I don't know how to
and
use it.
baby food, which is very liquidy.
The last person to meet you, grab.
But you're thankful when that waste starts becoming hard and solid. It's a lot easier to deal with. Yes?
You want to hear a
How
funny
much time
story?
we have left?
Sure.
About Andrew's poop?
Let's hear about Andrew's poop. By all means, tell.
We got 20
So
minutes.
one day, well, like now he loves watermelon and he loves bananas. You know, those are his favorites. So then this one day he didn't poop at all, and like normally he's good for like 1 or 2 times. So then the next day he woke up and he was already so I knew, he had gone to the bathroom. So I opened the diaper and there's red in the diaper, and I'm like, oh my god, he's bleeding, and I take him to the hospital, like giving blood.
You already.
But like you know when you wipe blood, like there's like these trees. Okay, well, I wiped him and it was nasty.
Put it in
So
front.
I was like, what the
On
heck?
my
And
side.
he's
On
like,
your side.
He's
Thank you.
fine. Like he's not even like in pain. I looked at it harder. He's a watermelon.
Just put it in there.
Because if everybody's
Yeah,
got
like
volume,
they
it's
were
gonna
literally
close.
still in chunks that I gave
Wow.
it to him in.
That hurt. Yes.
So
Is it still going on?
I mean, he was fine.
Okay.
He was just like upset that he had poop in his diaper, but so it scared
Where's
me. I
the
thought he
Amy?
was gonna poop in his
Oh yeah,
diaper.
yeah.
I was by myself, like there was nobody home, and
I won't tell y'all a crazy baby poop story. Ariel will kill me if I tell this story, but we'll pretend that she doesn't know I'm
We've
telling this story.
never heard.
So when Ariel was a little newborn baby, she was really colicky as a baby, by the way. She had a lot of intestinal issues. But one day she was trying to eliminate, she was screaming, she was very constipated. And my sister-in-law was over and she was changing her diaper, and I mean, she opened up the diaper and there was nothing there. But Ariel was like screaming, crying, like you could tell she was like bearing down and squeezing really hard, trying to get the waste out. And I'll never forget this imagery. I wish I had recorded this, because here's Ariel on the couch with her diaper off, kicking around, pushing like you know, babies go like that. You ever seen a baby do that? She's like trying to push. And my sister-in-law stepped away and went across the room for a second, and I was standing there next to Ariel. But I remember watching as she finally got the waste out, and it launched out like a bullet and hit my sister-in-law right on the chest. Like, I mean, it launched like a cannon, and got her, and she's like, I was like, wow, Ariel got some good aim. All right, good job, good job.
She finished him.
Now you have to use the little.
So-
when you
Life tip: if you're near a baby and it's straining really hard, get out of the line of sight. Like, get to the side, because when that comes out, it's going to come out full force.
So some they put it in
Yes, yes indeed.
put it, and
Just like little boys will pee right in your face. Boys have great aim; they'll pee in your face. Same thing. Yes.
absolutely.
Ah, those life skills. There you go. Okay, so here's the barium distribution for the large intestine. Same, but a little bit different from the stomach. Can be a little bit confusing. So let's start with the supine positions that also include LPO and RPO. White is the barium, black is the air. Same process, guys. If I'm falling back, let me get this intestine out so I can show what I'm talking about. I pull my intestines out.
You spilling your guts?
Everything just came
Spill
out.
my guts, literally on the floor there. Okay. Here's how the intestines sit in the body, right here. I've just drank, or I've had a lot of barium injected into my colon. As I lay back and fall back, the barium is going to fall into the ascending and descending colon areas that we see right here. Air is going to be in the transverse, sigmoid, and rectum. That's supine. So I fall back, barium's going to fall back to the ascending and descending areas. Why? Look at how they're situated. They're more posterior. You see that? See how they curve backwards? The ascending and descending portions. They
Why
curve
would
more
air
posterior.
fall? Why would air fall?
Barium falls. I said barium falls. Barium falls back to the ascending and descending areas specifically.
But the air is gonna fall down into the sigmoid.
Air is going to flow up. These are a little bit more posterior. I'm sorry, anterior. It's going to flow up. So barium will be in the ascending and descending portions. Air will be in the transverse, sigmoid, rectum. It's for supine. Now when we do prone, it's going to fall a different way. Prone, I'm going to go forward. Barium's going to fall forward into the transverse colon and into the sigmoid colon. Air will then be in the ascending and descending colon areas, like you see there. Now my explanation might not have been the best there, but great picture. Please take a picture of that, reference that right there. It's going to help you with your barium enema studies as far as where the barium goes versus the air. Now keep in mind, LPO and RPO is going to look like this. Even though the flexures will open up differently, the barium is going to be in the same areas. For this one, REO and LAO, same areas. We're just going to be opening up flexures slightly differently depending on the oblique that we're utilizing. So one more time, supine, barium goes to the ascending and descending colon. while air is going to be in the transverse and sigmoid. Prone, barium is going to be in the transverse and sigmoid colon, while the air is going to be in the ascending and descending colon areas. All right? Those are tough, I know. That's why I told you this is the toughest chapter this semester. We're not even to the positioning yet. Stay tuned. I don't know if y'all can see y'all's facial reactions sometimes. It's so entertaining. Okay, so anatomy review. PA, 30-minute small bowel. What can we name on this image? Quite a bit, actually. Let's start at the top, guys. If I point where all this barium is sitting, what portion of the stomach is this?
Pylorus.
This?
That is the bottom
The
part.
stomach?
Look, here's the stomach. Look at the shape. So this up here is what?
Fundus.
The fundus. This is the fundus.
Why is it so distinct?
Well, that's a swollen stomach for one thing. But barium's in the fundus there, guys. It's fundus, followed by body, and pylorus right here. What's this thing right here, this little bulb? What portion of the duodenum is this? Descending, and we can't see the other two portions because they're superimposed. But there's the C-loop. What portion of the small intestine would this be?
Jejunum?
Jejunum. What portion would this be?
Ileum?
Ileum. We can barely make it out, but what portion of the colon would this be? Ascending.
Ascending.
What's this thing here?
Hepatic flexure.
Which colon flexure?
Hepatic. Oh,
right.
right.
Also called the hepatic flexure. What portion of the large intestine is this?
Transverse.
Transverse colon. The rest we can't really make out because it's all too superimposed. Bit of a mess of a picture, right?
I didn't understand the top
The
portion.
fundus,
How is that?
that's the top of the stomach. Is it not?
That looks like the bottom. I don't.
Look, here's the top of the stomach. Here's the greater curvature right here.
The empty part?
Sorry, hang on. Hand's not steady. Right here. The stomach is very strangely shaped. That's what's throwing y'all off.
Yeah.
See how bulbous it is up here, then it narrows?
I'm expecting to see it like
That's your greater curvature. There's your lesser curvature. Here's your pylorus. But it's a great example that not all stomachs are going to look as pretty as the model.
Is that Brugge?
Arpia?
Yeah.
Like those lines and stuff?
That is
Or why is it like that?
likely an RPO, yes. Yes. That's the Rugae you see in there, yes. It's a double contrast study. So don't let that throw you off, guys. Not every stomach's going to look as pretty as the diagram. I'm going to have a lot of examples to show you what I'm
I
talking
thought that
about.
whole white
Yeah.
portion was the stomach.
I mean, it is part of the stomach.
Yeah, but
The top
I
of
didn't
it.
know the bottom was also stomach.
Yeah. Now this is a little easier to look at, guys. If we're looking at the parts of this large intestine here, can we name these?
Yeah.
Let's start with letter A. What is letter A?
Go ahead, guys.
Come on, guys, let's review. What's letter A?
Cecum.
Cecum. What's letter B? C. Hepatic flexure. What is this? Letter E.
The splenic flexure.
Splenic or left colic. Going down, we have the. What's this?
Sigmoid.
Sigmoid. This.
Rectum.
Rectum. And what's the last part? Anal canal or anus.
What was A again?
A is the cecum. First portion of the large
Oh, okay,
intestine.
okay.
This
That's
is
a
a
bowel.
spot film. Those of you that have done small bowel studies at fluoro, you know when they do the spot film at the end, they use the paddle to move the folds out of the way
With the little balloon.
with the little balloon. This is what they're looking for right here, guys. This is ileum. This is the ileocecal valve, that little narrow passageway. That's where all the contents start
Okay.
going into the large intestine. This would be the cecum, and it starts going up, around, and out the body. Okay?
Everything you eat ends up going through that little piece right there.
It expands, but yes.
Look at me. I ain't
This is an example of a lateral rectum x-ray. This is the rectum, this is the anal canal. There's the little probe for a barium enema there, guys. That's what it looks like on a lateral.
Oh, go back. It was in my picture, so I had to take it, retake it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
You don't
Now,
want
we'll talk more about this in our next class because we're starting to run out of time. But the different obliques we do for barium enemas are going to open up specific flexures. For example, some of y'all are dying out there today. My goodness. You okay?
I can't
You gonna be all right,
do
Shamika? The LAO, we're going to open specifically the left collic flexure. Now, it's not going to make sense right now because you're all burned out and done for the day. In fact, what time is it? Should I just stop today?
It's 2:51. 9 more minutes.
We got 10 minutes. I can't waste any time. We got too much to go over. We're gonna keep going, guys. This chapter's way too big. I can't slow down. So LAO, we're gonna open specifically the left collic flexure. I'm not gonna go too much into detail yet, but when we come back to positioning, we're gonna define each of these obliques by the flexure that is opened up. Now, this is an area that the registry has been focusing on, so I'll make sure we come back and review that very strongly, make sure we're comfortable with those specific flexures. They have been loving to ask questions on flexures versus obliques. So for LEO, left collic's open, REO, right collic is open. So what we're seeing here is the left collic flexure opened up. If we were in an REO, the right would open up. So, based on the rules of obliques, if an LEO opens the left, what do you think an LPO is going to open up?
The right.
The right, very good. It's going to inverse. So LPO would open up the right, RPO would open up the left. Okay, so we're going to come back to that. Let's see.
That looks almost fake.
That's
This
real.
looks like an animated.
That's real.
Yeah.
If y'all want to take a picture of that, it's another great little practice image. We just reviewed all those. Whoever wants to take a picture of that, it's a great little reference image, huh?
This is done like with it as like is it still
That's a
from
plain
a
film.
flora?
That's a plain film.
Plain.
See the marker? And that's what it would look like for upright projections. Like I said, we're going to come back into these in more detail when we actually talk about positioning. But how do we know this is upright? What's the key indicator, guys? Air versus barium, just like oil and water. Let's see the straight lines.
Don't mix.
That tells you the patient is standing or erect. Correct. By the way, look at how this colon's shaped. What kind of patient do you think this is? That would be an asthenic patient. See how low that flexure is? How low that transverse colon is? It's all the way down in the pelvic brim. Looks like it's falling out. Let's see.
So then, would that patient be sthenic? No,
This would be a more sthenic patient, yes.
It's really hard to tell what you're looking at when everything's not in the same place.
And it's not gonna be, which is why I'm showing you so many different images of colons here, guys. They're not all gonna be as pretty as the diagrams, where everything's just nicely spread out. So this would be like an ideal one right here. You agree? But most of the time, they're gonna be kind of a garbled mess right there. But if we just follow the path, we can still figure it out. Let's go to this one. Let me show you what I'm talking about. It's all kind of a mess, but we can still make out the portions, right?
Yes, ascending.
Well,
Your RPO or something.
It is.
That's an RPO?
This is probably, let's see, the right flexure is open. It's probably an RAO. RAO. Yeah. Follow the path, guys. What do we start with?
Ascending.
What's the first one?
Oh, what is it?
Cecum.
Cecum?
We go up the what?
Wow. I mean.
We need some help today. We go up the what?
Ascending colon.
The first flexure, it's called the what?
Hepatic. The right colon.
We go across the,
Transverse.
and it looks like a big mess, but what's this flexure up here?
The left colon.
By the way, what you're seeing is the transverse colon just kind of coiling towards the flexure there. So it looks like a mess. So splenic flexure, we go down the what?
Descending.
To the S-shaped curve, which is the what? Sigmoid. This is the rectum, and this is the anal canal. So guys, even though it's shaped vastly different, it follows the same path.
Can you go
Same
to
path.
the previous image on the left? What kind of patient would that be?
This is asthenic.
That's another
So,
ascending?
yeah, because of how low the transverse colon is. But look, guys, cecum, ascending, right colic, transverse, left colic, descending, back to sigmoid,
Oh my
Rectum,
God, this looks different.
anus. This is just a very curvy large intestine.
Looks like
Yeah.
abstract art.
They're all vastly different. Every person in here, your large intestines are gonna look completely different from the person next to you.
Figured out that this.
It's not gonna be as pretty as the diagrams, like
Can
I
you point out the
said.
same one in the other picture?
Over here?
The next.
The next one.
Huh?
The sigmoid,
Yeah, that one looks like this.
descending, sigmoid,
You're trying to get them.
rectum, anal canal. So this sigmoid's very pronounced, but they don't always look like that.
I was trying to do that thing.
Do you have
Some people do where they give
Varian
it to me
image
and they start talking.
of the patient?
So I was like, ooh, so I've been putting Tulimanes on the table.
I think I did.
Just place it
When
on
we
the
get to
pizza.
pathology.
He tries to eat them.
Volvulus is the.
You're backing up for it. I would dismiss class. Where we
We have
going?
3 minutes, we just can't go now.
We packing up.
Volvulus is the twisting, right? Like
Yes.
the bird beak.
Yes.
What was the coffee bean sign?
Coffee bean, was that the, not the apple core? Apple core is like a cancerous
Right.
growth,
Um,
Some kind of lesion or something.
something like that. I can't recall.
I think coffee bean is also volvulus.
coffee bean is also volvulus? I thought that was.
Why
the
are we
bird
walking
beak.
out of the class? I'm still lecturing. What are y'all doing?
We're just going to the trash can.
Okay, okay. Just making sure. Okay. Just thought y'all were just walking out and leaving.
No. You
They'll
still have.
do that to Mr. Fung, not
3
me.
minutes.
Oh!
I can't remember. So intussusception
We like you.
was
I like y'all too, most of the time. Yes.
Intussusception
Sorry?
is telescope.
Yeah.
Yes, intussusception is telescoping the valve.
But how does that look
In an X-ray,
in an X-ray or a fluoro exam? Like,
I'm
what
pretty
do
sure I
you
have an
tell?
image on the pathology section. I'll show y'all. We'll talk about that next.
Pathology section of this.
Of this PowerPoint, yes.
Mr. Dunn, you stuck to the other way. All right. All right, thank you.
All right. I'm in there today. I'm done.
Is this an old one? This is from last time?
Yeah, we did already talk about
Oh,
this,
never mind, I
so
don't need that picture.
just a little bit more we're gonna talk about before we get to the position. All right, guys, so on Thursday, we'll wrap up the anatomy. We'll start talking about the actual process of the fluoro exams and the positions. It's gonna be a lot more, guys, but take a deep breath. This is the heaviest chapter this semester. Like I said, it's just a taper off as we go through the next chapters. This is the roughest one. We get through this one, the rest is not gonna be so bad. So if you do really good on this one, you gotta feel really good for the rest of the semester, okay? Yeah.
On that liver image.
Did you? Sorry.
Look at the lows. It says caudate and then
Yeah,
quadrate,
let me see.
but when we discussed them
Okay, yeah,
previously,
let me
you
see.
said that caudate was on the top, quadrate was on the bottom.
It is. Oh, it's not
Look at that.
here?
It might be that image right there.
Yes, remember we said in the alphabet, C comes before.
Yeah, look at that. Good eye. All right, guys. So one last announcement. If any of you are thinking about competing in TSRT, I just want to meet for you for like 3 minutes before you leave. I won't take long. I promise. If you're thinking about it,
Oh,
I
think I'm thinking
have a
about it.
great
I think I might
evening.
think about it.
I'll see you guys on Thursday. Take care.